the NFL Stock Exchange podcast. I am Trevor Sikkema. That is Connor Rogers, fresh off watching his team come up just short in triple overtime action in playoff hockey. Connor, I'm surprised you even made it to the podcast, buddy. You gotta be hurting today.
I am hurting. You'll hear it a little bit in my voice. It's just been one of those runs right now. The day started out good. Mets win the doubleheader, both games, triple overtime. I'm not going to get on here and complain about NHL officiating, but it's an absolute dumpster fire. Rangers still should have won the game, so it's disappointing. We're moving on, dude. We're sad hockey fans right now, you and I, but we're moving on. We're going to be okay.
Hey, listen, Tampa Bay Lightning lost. What was it? 5-0, 6-0. I couldn't keep up. I couldn't keep up. I don't know how much they lost by, but we're all bouncing back. The end of the week is going to be better than how the week started. I'll just say that. But okay, we're not here to talk about hockey. We are here to talk about some draft grades. Go through the NFC North and the AFC East, all four teams in each division, break down every single selection that all 8 of those teams made, and then give you a draft grade afterwards from both Connor and I. Before we get to that, got to remind people that this podcast is sponsored by our friends over at Jock Market. That is Jock MKT. Their motto, stop betting, start trading. It's a really cool way to bet on some sports, get some skin in the game, but it's a little different. It's more of a stock market feel. It's more individual. If you know one player is going to have a great matchup, let's say they're on a hitting streak in baseball or they're on a big rebounding streak in basketball, whatever it is. If you know a player is going to have a great game that night, you can buy shares of that player. And the cool thing is that all the shares have a guaranteed cash payout at the end of the night. You can throw $5, 5 shares each, $25 on the line. And if that player has the best night of any player in the league, you're going to get paid like $100 a share. And you are going to get like an insane amount of money. No, it's not $100 a share, but
you're going to have a good old time.
You are going to have a good old time. It's a really cool way to actually put some skin into the game and bet. You go over to Jock Market. It's jockmkt.com/PFF, or you download the app. That's how Connor and I use it. If you use the promo code PFF at sign up, whatever your first deposit is, up to $100, they're going to match you at 100%. So check it out, friends over at Jock Market, jockmkt.com/PFF. Where are we starting? We starting in the NFC North? You want to do that?
We are starting in the North, and we are starting with the team that kicked things off in the North in this draft with the Detroit Lions, my friend. What'd you love?
What didn't I love?
Right, it's a good one.
The Lions out here navigating this draft. Okay, they get Aiden Hutchinson, but he's more of a like than a love, and I'll get to that in a second. I loved the Jameson Williams pick. This is my wide receiver 1 in this draft, and they moved up from 32 to 12 to go get this young man, and all they gave up for it was 12, 46, and then they got back. Or no, they got 12 and 46, and all they had to give up was 32, 34, and 66. That's insane. What are the Vikings doing? What are the Vikings? What? This is an interdivision trade in which I think, my humble opinion, you got fleeced. I'm sorry, Quessy. I love you. I think you're going to be a great GM. I really do. This was not a good first trade, but it was to the benefit of the Lions. Love that they were able to get so aggressive and go get a Jameson Williams to already pair with Amon-Ra St. Brown, who had a fantastic finish to last season. I also loved Pascal, the pass rusher that they got from Kentucky, who, man, I think that he is so versatile. Josh Pascal is the man. He has had such an up and down career at Kentucky. Had an illness that forced him to miss so much time. He was able to bounce back from it and become
cancer, right?
Dude, yes, it was.
Crazy,
it was. And it's something that he fought through, and he got back on the football field. It's incredible, man. For him to have that diagnosis and have that work ethic and get back on the field, become the prospect that he did, I think he's going to be a fantastic pro. He has great versatility. I believe as an inside-out player. He can play anywhere from the 3-tech to the 5-tech for you as an edge or an interior guy. So I love the versatility that he is going to bring the Detroit Lions defensive line. Those are the 2 picks for those 2 reasons that I love the most. What about you?
Man, I really love Touch for that team. Sometimes the fit really does matter so much, right? When you look at the staying home, in a sense, getting those people in Detroit really excited about their Lions. I think it's pretty cool for me. Top 3 player for me, so I had no problem with him going number 2. Love Jameson. You nailed it, Trevor, the trade up, and I'm going to talk more about that when we get to the Vikings. Usually in division trades, you pay a significant tax. For whatever reason, they got the sale of the century. I mean, you're talking about a pretty significant difference in terms of the value. So it was not even. It was a great trade by Brad Holmes and the Lions. Here's the one I loved that I can't believe the value. Malcolm Rodriguez, a guy that went in the 6th round, pick 188. I had him as my 70th ranked player in this draft. I think he's a starter at inside linebacker. I think he's great downhill. I think he's got excellent instincts. He's one of the rare linebackers in this draft that can take on contact over and over again, stack and shed, make a play. So there were 3 picks that I loved in this Lions draft. I liked Josh Pascal. Like you said, I think he's going to be a very boring player for the Detroit Lions in the best way, where he's going to be able to contain, he's going to be able to stop the run. He could play 5 tech on early downs, 3 tech, like you kind of said, on some passing downs. So that was a nice, safe pick. Didn't love the Kirby Joseph value. I understand the fit, though. They needed a cover safety. They needed a guy that has range next to Tracy Walker on the back end. I didn't value him. They valued him maybe a round earlier than where I had him, but the fit made a lot of sense. So to put a bow on it from my end, I loved the Lions draft. An A-. This is one of those turn the corner as a franchise kind of drafts. I know there's all the talk's going to be about Jared Goff and the quarterback situation. Whether he's the future or somebody else is the future, they have a really, really nice ground floor there that didn't exist before Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell got there.
You were asking me what I loved about it, and I forgot to even read off the entire Lions draft, which we're going to do at the beginning of each team. I just forgot it there. First round, I'll just do that now. Aiden Hutchinson, Jamison Williams, that's who they got there. Josh Pascal, they got in the 2nd round. Kirby Joseph in the 3rd, as Connor was kind of talking about there. No picks in the 4th round. 5th round, James Mitchell, the tight end from Virginia Tech. 6th round, Malcolm Rodriguez, a guy that Connor said he really liked, the linebacker out of Oklahoma State. James Houston, the 4th, former Florida Gator, but Jackson State University edge player there. And then the last pick that they had was Chase Lucas, the cornerback out of Arizona State. So I'll just go to the picks because we've got it broken up into 3 categories. If you guys listened to the last episode that we have, loved, liked, and then didn't get. So the loved picks, I said Jamison Williams, the value they got back for that, and then where they picked Josh Pascal, I really liked. I liked Aiden Hutchinson. The reason why I don't have a love is simply because Kayvon Thibodeau is my edge 1.
I'm with you there.
So that's the only reason why this is not a love pick. But hometown kid, gets to stay in Detroit. All of the rest of it is there. I just had to make note of that. And since we have those 2 categories, loved and liked, they're both positive. That's why I put Hutchinson into the like category. But I also really like James Mitchell. Now, he was coming off a season-ending injury, but this athletic, really good pass-catching tight end who I think we would have been talking about pretty highly in this tight end class if he didn't get hurt. So I thought he had a lot of production previously, really nice production. So for them to get him in, where was it? What did I say? The 5th round? What was it? Where'd they get to?
Yeah, 5th round.
It was 5th round, right? Yeah. 5th round pick. I really like the value there. Love the ceiling of what he could be. The don't get for me in this category with the Lions, none. I really don't have one. I thought about the Kirby Joseph one because I saw your list as I was filling mine out. And, this team just needs safeties. They really do. We talked to Jeff Risden during the guest mock draft series, and he was telling us that safety could have very well been in play at 32 had the Lions stayed at 32. With those picks that were both right there, not just 32, but I guess 34 as well, he was really saying safety is something they're going to look very heavily at. So I get it after picking the obvious at number 2 with Aiden Hutchinson, going up to get Jamison Williams so you don't get that pick at 34 because you had traded it away. For them to go get a safety in the 3rd round, I'm okay with it, knowing what they thought of their safety room and how they needed to upgrade that. So that I gave it an A as well. I give this this draft an A. It was one of my favorites, no doubt about it.
Really, really good draft for the Lions. Imagine if they traded up in the 3rd round and took Malik Willis. That would have just been, and I mean, obviously Malik's a bit of a wild card as a prospect, but that would have been just crazy for them. But
was Malik still there when they picked Kirby Joseph?
No, he went 86th, I believe. Kirby went 97th.
You're right. Okay,
but still,
that would have been the one that I could have been like, all right, we could pencil it into that category if he was still available.
All right, Green Bay Packers. If you listened to our night 1 recap, you kind of heard me eviscerate them a little bit. They did a really good job after that, which I was happy to see. I didn't love anything in this draft, but I liked a lot of it. And sometimes that's okay. Sometimes that's what you need to do. So I really liked all the offensive line picks, Trevor. I mean, Zach Tom, Sean Ryan, Rasheed Walker was one of the better value picks in the entire draft in my eyes.
I'm surprised they got him.
I don't understand him being in the 7th round. I talked to an offensive line coach that would have been pretty comfortable with him in the 3rd or 4th if they needed him, but they didn't need him. Zach Tom, I think, can be a starter at center. I know they have Josh Myers there, but 4th round kind of athlete that they draft. Once again, Sean Ryan's the kind of guy that is that tackle flex guy they always like. Green Bay drafts these guys every single year, and it seems to work out for them more than not. So I loved their offensive line draft. As you know, and I won't go too far down the road, I did not get Quay Walker as a top 25 pick. I truthfully did not get playing roulette at wide receiver, and let me clarify what I mean by that. I really like Christian Watson and the idea of what Christian Watson can be. I really like Romeo Doubs. I think these guys can be impact players. I don't know if either of them are ready to be impact players this year, where my biggest argument with the Packers, and why I gave them a B, which is a rock-solid grade. I think they had a draft where they got a couple starters, a couple role players. I didn't like the lack of aggression at the top of this draft. I thought they should have moved from either 22 or 28. I know everybody says that's not what they do. That's not what they do. I would have went up and got Chris Olave. Obviously, they probably wanted somebody that was going to play right away, so you can't kill them too much for not going up for Jamison Williams. But I would have went up for a Chris Olave kind of player. I like Treylon Burks fit on this team a lot. I know some people did not. I don't know. It was just, I saw a lot of teams, contenders, get really aggressive in this draft. I saw the Chiefs do it. I saw the Saints do it. I saw a lot of different teams go up and go get players. The Bills did it. I don't like Green Bay being so static on day 1, and I know they made a lot of nice moves on day 2, but they had a good draft. It was a B for me.
Okay, so I'll recap it. Quay Walker, the linebacker out of Georgia, and then Devontae Wyatt.
Oh yeah, sorry, I always forget to do that.
No, it's okay. It's all right. We're excited. You are anxious. I'm excited. You're anxious to get to it, so I know that people appreciate the passion there. We got Quay Walker and then Devontae Wyatt in the 1st round, Christian Watson in the 2nd, Sean Ryan, the offensive tackle from UCLA in the 3rd, Romeo Doubs and Zach Tom in the 4th. We've got Kingsley Enagbare in the 5th round. No picks in the 6th round. Tariq Carpenter, the safety from Georgia Tech in the 7th round. Jonathan Ford, defensive lineman from Miami. And then Rasheed Walker, the offensive tackle from Penn State. Oh, they had Samori Toure as well, the wide receiver from Nebraska. And that kind of rounded out a lot of 7th round picks for them. I loved Sean Ryan, Zach Tom, Romeo Doubs. You mentioned it there. I think that them not going after offensive line until those points in the draft was a little bit of a risk, but the players that they got there
worked out,
have a lot of versatility to them. Like, I think that they have seen firsthand how much it matters when you have a player that gives you versatility to fill a lot of different holes in your offensive line, like Elgton Jenkins has been able to do for them over the last couple of years. Now, I'm not going to say that these guys are going to be as good as Jenkins has, because he's been fantastic, but the value is certainly there of having a guy who you get to, you truly get to say, well, we like him as a player. Let's figure out where he's best, and we'll play him where he's best. And if that might be in a backup role in a certain situation to start, or it might be as a starter in a certain role to start, like that is what the Packers are allowing themselves to do. And I think that that's a smart way to go about offensive line play, just letting the talent rise to the top, if you will. Romeo Doubs, I think, is great as a vertical threat for them. That was his bread and butter in Nevada's offense, as Carson Strong's main guy deep down the field. And so I wasn't as high on Romeo Doubs as it seems other people might have been pre-draft.
Same.
But for where they got him was a 5th round pick. And in an offense where Aaron Rodgers likes to chug it deep, I think that there's some cautious optimism that this guy could be a big difference maker for you right off the bat. I said this on the PFF draft show, but this is a situation where you're hoping Romeo Doubs can become, ideally, a Gabriel Davis type, because Gabriel Davis had that same kind of outlook where he was simply a vertical 9-ball wide receiver coming out of UCF. That offense at UCF was simply, they're going to hike the football. Gabe Davis is going to go down the field, down the sideline. We're going to throw it to him. And that was what he was known as coming in the NFL. And in Buffalo, he started out as that, but he's become a lot more. So maybe that could be the case with Romeo Doubs as well. I liked the Devontae Wyatt pick, given you did your research on the off the field stuff, because he has had off the field issues that came up during this draft process that I think are a big reason why he was available at 28.
They are, yep.
So as long as they did their due diligence there, a lot more than I have the capabilities to do sitting in this chair, then I like to pick. He's a very talented player, was the number 10 overall player on my PFF or on my big board. And then look, Connor, this feels like a hot take at this point. I like Christian Watson. Like,
sure.
I think that there was reason to believe that if you're taking him at 22 or 28 for the Packers, this is a little bit rich, but even trading up to get him at the beginning of the second round, like, I'm okay with this. This was always going to be their type of receiver. He's a big,
Vikings again,
tall
right?
guy. Right. Yeah, the Vikings just making
Are you in our division? We're here to help you out. It's unheard of.
Look, Christian Watson needs to improve the ball skills. He does. That's the biggest question mark that goes within his game. I think that he's also pretty green at route running just because he was not asked to do it a lot at North Dakota State. But who he is right now doesn't mean that he's always going to be like that. And instead, he's got a lot of traits that you want to normally bet on. So, heck, playing with one of the best passers who's ever played the game before over the next couple of years certainly is going to be as good of a teacher for his ball skills as he is ever going to get. So I still like that pick, even though people didn't seem to like it. Quay Walker at 22 is a little sketchy on, and then I totally echo and agree with your point. The lack of aggression to go get a different wide receiver, I wish was a little bit different from Green Bay. And maybe it was, right? We talked about this pre-draft. It's the picks that don't happen that kind of intrigued me the most. Maybe Green Bay was on the phone. Maybe they were just short of getting here or there, pick 11, pick 12 to go get one of these wide receivers, and they just came up a little bit short. But if they weren't, and it didn't seem like the price to move up was that high,
got to do it.
Then I kind of wonder, why were you sitting back? Why were you that comfortable letting the board fall to you when you know you needed to go out and get an impact guy? So those are my total thoughts for the Packers. I think you gave it a B or B plus, one of those two things. I gave it a B.
Yeah, it was a good draft. It was a really solid draft. Okay, so the Minnesota Vikings here. They took Lewis Cine, and they traded a lot, but they took Lewis Cine in the first round, the safety from Georgia.
Yeah.
Andrew Booth in the second round, corner from Clemson. Ed Ingram in the second round, guard from LSU. Brian Asamoah, the linebacker from Oklahoma in the third round. Caleb Evans, the corner from Missouri in the fourth round. 2 fifth-round picks. Asezi Otomewu, the Minnesota defensive lineman. Ty Chandler, the running back from UNC. That was both their fifth-round picks. 2 sixth-round picks. A lot of picks in this draft. They really wanted to go volume route in Adolfo-Mensa's first draft. Vidarian Lowe, Illinois offensive tackle. And Jalen Naylor, the wide receiver from Michigan State, later in the sixth round. And then the seventh round, Nick Muse, a tight end from South Carolina. So when you look at this one, for me, Trevor, I really want to explain myself here because, and I'm not going to give away the grade, but I really want to be thorough in my explanation because I looked at it and factored in trade values, right? Trading with division opponents a couple times and not taxing them that you traditionally would. And obviously overall impact and value. And I think this is the most important. I would be a fraud if I got on here and said this draft was even average in my eyes, because if somebody went back and looked at my big board and looked at the value, they got significant negative value on almost every pick they made for me besides Lewis Cine. Lewis Cine was my 21st overall player. They got him 32nd. I really liked that pick a lot. Andrew Booth was pretty close. He was 42nd. I had him 50th. After that, they were just in a different stratosphere for me than everybody else. And this is a show where we're going to talk about the New England Patriots, and this team was the team that was in a different stratosphere. Ed Ingram.
Wait, do you have a lower grade on the Vikings than you did the Patriots?
Like significantly. And I know Minnesota.
Gosh, you do.
I know Minnesota fans are not going to like me after this, and I just want them to give me a chance here. Ed Ingram, I had 124. They took him 59th. Asamoah is a fine player. He's a money backer. They took him 66th. They had him 105. Caleb Evans, developmental corner in my eyes. They took him 118th. I had him 195. Otomewu, 212. They took him 165th. Ty Chandler, 253. They took him 169th. Vidarian Lowe, developmental offensive lineman at 240. They took him 184. That one I don't mind because your developmental offensive lineman can be a big difference on the board. It's just a matter of what you think of them in your scheme. And then Jalen Naylor, once again, I don't really mind this one. They took him 191. I had him 230. So I think my problem here, Trevor, is you moved out of significant picks a couple times, and you did not really get adequate value back from your division rivals. And I don't really think this team got much better in a division that you can run away from the Bears. You can run away from the Lions. The goal should be coming out in round 1 and throwing your best haymaker at Green Bay, which I know is tough, but with Kirk Cousins at quarterback and the roster that you've inherited, you can do that. And I don't think this draft did that for them. I loved Lewis Cine. I liked nothing else. I didn't get the trades at all. The trade with the Lions, in my eyes, was horrible. Horrible trade. And I didn't get the value on the picks that I already explained. It was a negative 404 value rankings versus picks. I don't know. Like maybe I'll look like a fool. And I think Cine's going to be a long-time starter and can be a high-end player. Mm-hmm. I think Booth can get there. He's got to get healthy and fix some aggressive issues. But that pick was okay. I wasn't the biggest Andrew Booth guy in this class, but I see the upside as a starting number 2 cornerback. I'm not convinced they got anything else from this draft where they had 1 million picks, and I gave it a D+. Which I know is just scald. It's a tough grade, but I gave this a D+. I understand GMs playing quantity on their first draft, and I saw it recently here in New York. Joe Douglas did it in 2020, and he had a terrible draft. It didn't work. It's hard. You really got to nail your picks and nail a couple of picks if you're going to go the quantity route, moving out of value spots. And I think the Vikings got a little too cute in this draft.
Yeah, I'm looking up some of the. Man, okay. So I was initially. What'd you say?
I said, you feel me?
Yeah, I was initially higher on this draft when I was doing the PFF recap.
I think I did the same thing on the BR show, like coming in real time. I was like, oh, okay, I kind of see this. And then when I put it all together, I was like, these trades did not make a lot of sense to me.
Right. I gave him a B-, I think on the show. I'd give him a C- now. I love Lewis Cine.
Oh, so you're right there with me. I gave him a D+, you gave him a C-.
Yeah, I'd give him like a C or a C-. And I think when you look at it, maybe just for the players themselves, you think that Lewis Cine's going to be a really good football player. I like Andrew Booth a lot when he's healthy, but the trade from 12 to 32, I think we have talked about, is bad. Even in a year where you were not getting as much value as you wanted, I think every team was kind of in that boat. I still thought the deal was bad objectively. And then I'm looking at how the draft went, and they took Andrew Booth, who I like Andrew Booth, right? But there are concerns about him long-term with his health, especially after 2 surgeries.
2 core surgeries now, right?
Not good.
That's the only surgery I've had and coming back from it. And I know Andrew Booth is a different athlete than me, but I could not fathom getting that surgery twice. It sucks.
So they picked Andrew Booth at 42.
Yeah.
They had 34 where they traded away that pick to the Green Bay Packers. The corners that go after that pick are Roger McCreary and Kyler Gordon. So you look at Andrew Booth and you go, okay, they took Andrew Booth at number 42. That was basically the last corner that they possibly could have taken because it is a drop after that.
Yeah,
it was a severe drop off. So you had the opportunity to, and look, maybe they liked Andrew Booth more than the other guys.
Sure.
But the long-term injury worries me. And the fact that they had the chance to basically pick Roger McCreary or Kyler Gordon as well at that top selection, traded out of it, and then we're basically forced into only being able to pick Andrew Booth at 42. That I don't like either. So I don't really, I get it. PFF talks about how trading back is often better anyways, because you get more darts at the dartboard and just the percentages that players are going to turn out. Like it just helps you when you trade back, when you acquire more picks, when you navigate things that way. I hear it. I mean, I don't disagree with that logic, but at the same time, trading back and trading up also has to account for the exact players that you are moving for and that you were selected. Because at the end of the day, those are the guys who are going to be on the field. Like you are making the moves for those players. So for them to trade a couple of times in the division, I really didn't like that. I now that I'm looking at it, I really didn't like how they navigated going that cornerback selection at the top of the second round. I hated the value that they got moving from 12 to 32. Yeah, there's a lot that I don't like here. I didn't love this draft.
How are Vikings fans going to feel if Jameson Williams or Christian Watson run by this secondary for the next 8 years?
Yeah, probably not good.
And your GM was like, yeah, come right in. Come grab them.
Yeah.
It felt almost... I really respect Kwesi for being above the like old NFL minds of we don't trade with division rivals, but you also need to make sure you are winning the deal when you do that. And I don't even think it was even.
Right. They're calling you, you're not calling them.
No, it's not even even.
They're calling you. Interesting. I think it's an interesting draft for Kwesi. We'll see how it pans out. Vikings fans, if we're not looking at this the right way, let us know. But yeah, I don't see it here. I do not see it. Chicago Bears. All right, let's move on to Chicago Bears. Pulling up the Bears.
Fire away there, big shooter.
Second round, because they didn't have a first round pick. They go Kyler Gordon, the cornerback out of Washington. They also go Jaquan Brisker, the safety out of Penn State. Third round, Velus Jones Jr., the wide receiver from Tennessee. Braxton Jones, the offensive tackle in the fifth round. Dominique Robinson as well as in the fifth round. Sixth round, they got Zachary Thomas, the offensive tackle from San Diego State. Tristan Ebner, the halfback from Baylor. Doug Kramer, the center from Illinois. Ja'Terry Carter, the offensive tackle from Southern University. Elijah Hicks, the safety from California. Then Trenton Gill, the punter at 255 out of North Carolina State.
That's where you take a punter, baby.
How many seventh-round picks do they have?
3.
1, 2, 3. Oh, yeah, they had 3
and 3 sixth-rounders.
Yeah, 3 seventh-round picks.
The Bears had a good old party at late day 3 in the draft.
Yeah, that's what you want. Yeah, all darts are equal, right?
The John Idzik special.
All darts at the dartboard are equal. Okay, maybe not.
Left-handed throws.
What'd you think of the Bears draft here?
You know what, dude? All things considered, I didn't mind it. I didn't love it. I didn't mind it. Here's the catch-22 with the Bears draft. It was pretty cool. It's a disaster for Justin Fields. So when you could separate those two things, you end up somewhere in the middle like I did. I love Jaquan Brisker. This is one of my favorite players in the draft. Jaquan Brisker was a really nice pick at 48. There was some value there for that spot. I loved Dominique Robinson. He was a player I valued as a top 120 player in this draft. They got him at 174. Converted wide receiver to pass rusher. That's something you don't really hear very often. So this dude's pretty awesome, and he's a good athlete, and I really like that pick. I liked Kyler Gordon. So I love Brisker, love Robinson, liked Kyler Gordon. I really liked Velus Jones Jr., but I didn't get the pick for them at that spot. Like it's crazy, and I've said this before, when you find a day 3 player, you're like, man, I really like this guy. I'm rooting for him to find the right spot on day 3 and go show some value. They took Velus Jones Jr. in the top 75 of the draft. I had him at 150, and he's 25 years old this month. He's 25 years old this month.
Happy birthday, Velus Jones.
Yeah, happy birthday, Velus Jones Jr. This is nothing against you, because I really, really like you as a player and think you have more upside at receiver when you've been a co-SEC Special Teams Player of the Year guy with Jameson Williams this year. And then I didn't really get the developmental offensive line strategy for an offensive line that's not really good right now. It was like, oh, let's take 1 million developmental offensive linemen and see how this goes. Braxton Jones, big-time developmental guy. Zachary Thomas, kind of the opposite. I don't really see the upside there. Doug Kramer, Ja'Terry Carter. They just, like you said, all these left-handed darts, Trevor, on the offensive line. This offensive line needs to be better in mandatory minicamp in June, not 3 years from now. So,
sure, right.
Did not like this draft for Justin Fields. I think it set up Justin Fields to fail this year, and I hope he can, overcome the lack of talent around him overall. But I loved what it did for Eberflus' defense. It was a B-. It's funny to like so many of the picks, but when you look at the big picture, you just have some concerns.
I like the Braxton Jones pick. I really do. He had a 93.3 overall grade for us at PFF. Obviously going up against lesser competition at Southern, but absolutely dominated. It looks like he moves really well. Super long wingspan, very high ceiling for this guy. needs to get a little bit stronger for sure. But I got to say that, like, I love that pick. I think it's a great pick for the Chicago Bears. It's a really good investment there. I also like Dominic Robinson. Those are two guys that I love their selection there. It gets a little bit tricky as we kind of get into what I didn't like. I liked Kyler Gordon and Jaquan Brisker for the reasons that you named. As individual football players, they're going to be good players. That's what it comes down to. This defense awesome. Yeah. They are going to increase the coverage potential of this team and what they're able to do in the secondary a lot. Pairing Eddie Jackson with a guy like Jaquan Brisker is going to be money. Pairing Jalen Johnson with a guy like Kyler Gordon is going to be money. All of a sudden, you got a really nice secondary there in Chicago, and I'm a big fan of those players individually. But you get to the don't get part of my analysis here, lack of urgency for Justin Fields, man. I would have loved the Braxton Jones pick just as much if they would have invested offensive line a little bit earlier, right? With one of those first two picks. Same thing at wide receiver, man. Velus Jones Jr. I don't have to look at Velus Jones Jr. and think that's supposed to be the star wide receiver that you got out of this draft class. They lose Allen Robinson and you replace him with Velus Jones Jr. in the third round. That's what I have as the takeaway now for the Chicago Bears offseason.
Trevor, you know what the tough one was?
I still love it.
I think the tough one for me is taking Velus Jones, who I really think would have made it outside the top 100 at 71, and passing on Bernard Raymond in that spot.
Well, the Bernard Raymond is going to be, I think, when people, as we all love to do, play the game where you just like look back on draft classes and self-deprecate yourself and think what could have been for your team, especially recently over the next couple of months this summer. The Bernard Raymond pick being so late is going to be in a lot of people's, well, they could have had Bernard Raymond.
You're right.
But I do believe that
the Bears really needed
Bernard Raymond.
The Bears really needed Bernard Raymond. And once again, I will go down on the hill that Velus Jones was not going to be a top 100 pick. But if you love the guy, not a bad draft. Like, they got good players.
I think it's such an interesting draft because I think the players are good. But I have to look at Velus Jones Jr. I mean, you look at what the Chicago Bears did in free agency. They signed Equimini St. Brown to a 1-year deal and Byron Pringle to a 1-year deal.
I mean, come on, dude.
And
that's
now,
like player 47 on your roster.
And now I have to look at Velus Jones Jr. as if he is the guy that is 100% the wide receiver that they were bringing in to really help Justin Fields. And I don't like him for that role. I wish they would have just picked another receiver a little bit higher, and you could appropriately play and emphasize and get the most out of Velus. But I don't mean to crap on the players. They're good players. I didn't get the overall emphasis for Fields unless you are truly looking down the road, 2023 free agency period, 2023 NFL draft, and saying to yourself, we are going so far all in. We already know that our salary cap's going to be right for it. Our draft picks are going to be right for it. And at that point, we're going to surround Justin Fields from what he needs for those last 2 years in his contract to show us, is he our franchise quarterback? But even then, man, you're playing with fire on the timeline. You're wasting precious time on the rookie deal. But maybe they don't love Fields. I don't know.
Right? It's either that or, you have to worry about him, his development being ruined by the end of next year.
Right, by the offensive line.
Yeah, a guy that's been hurt a lot. Let's call it what it is. He got hurt in college. He got hurt in his rookie season. It's fascinating to me, and I guess this regime's not really in a hurry. They're not in a hurry is what it is. They'd rather just get good players right now, and it's tricky. I can applaud that because if I put myself in the chair, I don't think it's as easy as people think sometimes, where you're working with the guy that you didn't draft. Are you going to tie your entire career to that, whether that's right or wrong? You might just rather take good players your first year and then worry about all the rest later. And we've seen the Lions kind of operate that way, and we really like what the Lions did this year. So
I think that they definitely believe that they're multi-year rebuild. It's just you're I don't want to say backing yourself into a corner, but you got to nail it next offseason. That's all I'm saying. You really got to nail the offensive side of the ball next offseason for sure. We're going to pop over to the AFC East. We're going to get to Connor's beloved New York Jets and the rest of that division. But before we do that, introducing our newest sponsor. Sunday. Does your lawn have weeds, bare patches, pet spots? Well, Sunday can help you solve all these problems and more the easy way. They've got everything that you need, from fertilizer to seeds to weed control. It is all delivered right to your door. Connor and I don't have lawns right now.
This is making me want one again.
We yearn for lawn care. So do it for us, people. Do it for us. Listen to this. Get involved with what Sunday is putting down here to make sure that your lawn is as tip-top as it can be. Sunday can help you grow a beautiful lawn without the guesswork or the nasty chemicals. Their custom plans include fertilizer and everything that you need to easily care for your lawn. You can feel good with the kids and the pets all running around on it. Just attach the ready-to-use pouch onto a garden hose and spray. That's it. Takes less than 15 minutes. Sunday's offering 20% off to our listeners. Like I just said, we can't have a lawn. Please, just do it for us. Just do it. Do it for us. The full season plan starts at $129. You can get 20% off of that at checkout when you visit getsunday.com/NFL. That's 20% off your custom lawn plan over at getsunday.com/NFL. All right, Connor, bouncing over to the AFC East now, and we might as well give the people what they want. We might as well give them what they want. We might as well start with the New York Jets at number 4 overall. They took Ahmad Garner, the cornerback from Cincinnati. Garrett Wilson, the wide receiver from Ohio State, at number 10. Jermaine Johnson at 26, the edge rusher from Florida State. Second round, Breece Hall, halfback from Iowa State. Wonder if we're going to talk about that a lot. Jeremy Rucker in the third round, the tight end from Ohio State.
Probably not.
Max Mitchell, the offensive tackle from Louisiana, in the fourth round. Also Michael Clemens, the edge rusher from Texas A&M. Fifth round, sixth round, seventh round, bunch of squat. Nada.
Nothing.
Done.
F them
Got
picks.
out early, headed to the bars to celebrate what was an incredible draft. Connor, what'd you love about it?
A lot. I loved the first round and the aggressive nature of it. I thought that, you obviously get a player that was one of the best in this class in Sauce. You got a guy that I thought was the best wide receiver in Garrett Wilson. And then you saw a player that they loved, a top 10 guy in Jermaine Johnson, falling. And you got back in the round, and you didn't get completely robbed to get back in the round, and you got him. So you solved 3 mammoth needs, corner, wide receiver, and pass rusher in the first round. And I liked how aggressive they were, not just in the first round. Maybe I'm crazy. I liked Breece Hall a lot. I liked Breece Hall a real lot. I mean, as the 30th player in this draft, they took him 36th. I'll say this as somebody who has done way too much Jets content for way too long. The Jets running back room outside of Michael Carter kind of sucked. I'm sorry, but Tevin Coleman's a nice player. He's hurt every year. And It's not a matter of if, it's when, all the time. Ty Johnson dropped every single outlet that Zach Wilson threw him last year, and it drove everybody insane. And then it got into plug your ears here, Trevor. It got to the point where they had to play LaMichael Pirine sometimes, and it didn't work very well.
Good.
And that wasn't say Trevor loved LaMichael Pirine. Just a little shout out that he's a Gator. So don't come at Trevor's throat thinking he's LaMichael Pirine's #1 fan. So
I own his signed rookie card. I'm invested, bro. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh man, I got some bad ones. So it was a big need, because when Michael Carter got the chance to be the lead back last year for a team that wants to run the heck out of the football, they have a first-round guard and a $13 million guard. Mm-hmm. He got hurt. He wasn't the lead back in college, and he's not going to be the lead back with the Jets. He's a really nice player that's going to be better as the number 2. And they got a dude that I thought was far and away the best running back in this draft. I think he catches the ball. He's got breakaway speed. He could break tackles. He could do everything. He could really do everything. And he plays hard, underclassman team captain. So I don't know when we got to this point. The war on running backs has gone way too far. And I like Breece Hall and think he's going to be a really, really good player for a run-heavy football team. The only thing I didn't get with the Jets was, and it's why it's not an A+, it was just an A for me, I didn't like the Michael Clemens pick. I don't traditionally value guys in the 4th round that are older and have bad character. And hopefully he proves us all wrong and matures and takes care of all those things. The film's pretty good, honestly. He knows how to use his length. He's a tough guy on the edge. He can play the run. He's got some pass rush juice. But I didn't think the Jets needed another rusher. I didn't think they needed to take... This was a reach in my eyes. It was the anti-Jeremy Rucker pick. The Rucker pick was like a 50-plus value to me. That was awesome.
Hell yeah, baby.
Yeah, but this one to me, I'll say it, I thought it was a really bad pick. So it was an A. The Jets had an awesome draft. It feels good to say that. And if Zach Wilson can take any kind of step forward, it can be a turning point for them to be finally maybe competitive again.
Dude, there's no way I could give this draft anything other than an A. The things I loved about it, all of it. The things I liked about it, all of it. I mean, the only way this draft could have possibly gotten better for me in my player evaluation is if at 4 they picked Derek Stingley, which they didn't have the chance to because Stingley was off the board. And if they picked Drake London at 10, which they didn't have the chance to because
they
he was
liked
off
both of those guys a lot.
Right. And so the only way this draft gets better for me is if they're able to do those things. I guess I should also throw in the fact that if they would have picked George Karlaftis instead of Jermaine Johnson, because I had George Karlaftis ranked higher. But we're splitting hairs at that point. You and I talked about it in our favorite drafts episode on Monday. That the thing that I like the most about what the Jets did is I think they took a look at how the first 3 picks went, did a really great job of evaluating the intel that they had on the rest of the league, and picked accordingly. Because at number 4 overall, Kayvon Thibodeau was still on the board, right? You could have gone with a player like that. You could have gone with that pass rusher, where they picked a pass rusher at the back end of the first round instead. But I think that they looked at this situation and they said, Derek Stingley just went off at 3. We don't pick again until 10. The Giants are probably going to take Sauce at either 5 or 7 because I think we all knew that they were going to. They all really like Sauce Gardner, especially if the Jets would have taken, let's say, Kayvon Thibodeau. Then I think the Giants are for sure then at that point taking Sauce Gardner. So if they do that, then there's not really a corner that they would reach on at number 10. That one's probably going to be a wide receiver anyways, and they're going to like where they were sitting at wide receiver to take a wide receiver at number 10. So if you would have taken a pass rusher at 4 and a wide receiver at 10, then all of a sudden you would have been sitting there at number 32 or 34. No, where were they picking? They were picking.
They were picking 35 and they moved to 26.
35. The corners that you would have had the chance to take at 35 would have just been Kyler Gordon and Andrew Booth at that point. So to me, they did a great job looking at how deep this edge rush class was, thinking George Karlaftis, David Ojabo, Jermaine Johnson are probably all going to fall. Arnold
Ebiketie, Brian Mafe, you're 100% right.
They were in the perfect situation because they drafted Sauce at 4. To get the wide receiver they wanted at 10, and then to get flexible with how aggressive they were going to be to go up and get an edge rusher somewhere at the back end of the first round or even beginning of the second round if they stood at number 35. So that's why I love this draft beyond just the players. And a lot of people go, oh, it's easy to love a draft because they had 3 first-round picks.
I don't understand that. Look at the teams that have had first-round picks over the last couple of years, and they sucked. Well, they've made terrible choices.
Shout out Dave Gettleman. But, okay, so
the Raiders went through it too.
Well,
the Dolphins went through it too. Austin Jackson and Noah Igbenogany.
So these are really good points.
No team does a good job with it.
These are really good points. These are really good points. I still think they navigated the right way, even with having the 3 first-round picks. I really do. So that was something that I really enjoyed about their draft. The Breece Hall pick. Breece Hall is a good football player, man. They want to run the ball more. They don't have an RB1. They were eventually, to complete this offense, going to pick a running back decently high or sign a running back for a decent amount of chunk of change on a second contract. You would rather pick a running back at the top of the second round, probably than sign him. If you are trying to get RB1 value out of him. And I don't know, maybe that's me talking off the top of my head. Maybe I don't know the numbers correctly, but they needed a good football player to be RB1 for them. I think Breece Hall is fantastic in a one-cut zone blocking scheme, but I also think that he's plenty patient enough for you to have any kind of blocking scheme in front of him, and he's going to perform well. He's got soft hands. He can play on all 3 downs if you want. I think it was a good pick for him. Love the Jeremy Rucker pick as well. He was almost my tight end 1 at some point. I was going through it, and I was like, man, I love what this dude could be. I love the fact that he's a Jersey dude staying in Jersey. So Max Mitchell's another player that you and I talked about a lot during.
They need a swing tackle, and they got one
that I liked, that I really liked.
Yeah, you really did.
Borderline first-round pick around the Senior Bowl. Now, the Senior Bowl kind of changed my mind about it. It was like, okay, this guy's not as dominant or as advanced as I thought he would have been. But Love the football player. Getting him in the 4th round. You mentioned his swing tackle there. I give this draft an A for sure.
Yeah, we were both really high on this draft, and it's going to be fun to see how it shakes out because all these guys are going to play, honestly. Garrett Wilson's going to be their number 2 receiver probably. We'll see how, Corey Davis comes back healthy, but at a minimum, number 3. Jermaine Johnson's going to probably get about 60% of the snaps because they rotate a lot on the D-line. Sauce is going to be their number 1 corner. Breece Hall is going to be their number 1 running back. Jeremy Ruckert's behind Uzomah and Tyler Conklin, but he's going to get on the field a lot. And Max Mitchell is one more, fan or Becton injury away from being on the field. So, yeah, this was a draft that you're gonna get hopefully some early results. The Buffalo Bills.
Yes.
Were the next team on the list for us, and they took they traded up for Kaiir Elam in the 1st round, pick 23. They got James Cook in the 2nd round, pick 63. Terrell Bernard, the linebacker from Baylor, in the 3rd round. No 4th rounder here in the 5th round. Khalil Shakur, a player that Trevor and I definitely liked in that spot in the 5th round. Wide receiver from Boise State. Matt Ariza, the punt god in the 6th round. Shockingly, not one of the first couple of special teams players taken. Christian Benford, defensive back from Villanova in the 6th round. Another 6th round pick, Luke Tenetta, offensive lineman from Virginia Tech. And then their 7th round pick was Balin Spector, linebacker from Clemson. All right. Brandon Beane, traditionally a very, very good team builder and drafter. I'll go through mine pretty quickly here, Trevor, and then I'll throw to you.
All right.
Didn't love anything, and that's okay because I liked a lot. I really liked Kaiir Elam on this team. I think he's going to develop there. And I really, really like the fit of James Cook and Khalil Shakur in their offense. I think they have defined roles. Devin Singletary's a year away from free agency. I think James Cook's going to be their pass-catching kind of back and change of pace kind of back. I think Khalil Shakur can fit into that gadget player role for them where you find ways to get the ball in his hands. And I thought Ariza was a huge need. They had huge punting problems last year, and he was my highest rated specialist by a big, big margin. I don't know why he wasn't one of the top specialists taken. Great for the Bills. They got great value here getting him in the 6th round. I thought he was going to be a 4th round pick in this draft. The only thing I didn't get was Bernard that early. I just didn't value him that way. I had him as player 204. He's a money backer. He's a sub-package player, probably a special teams player. They took him in the top 100, so didn't really get that one. B+ for the Bills. Big fan of Brandon Beane. Big fan of what the Bills got going this year, and there is a reason why they are the current Super Bowl favorite, Trevor.
Yeah, look, a lot of our points are very the same here. I have him as a B+ grade as well. The only pick that I didn't get was maybe Bernard that early, as you mentioned. I thought it was a little bit of a reach for what they were going for there. I feel like they could have waited even for that position that they were trying to build and strengthen in their roster as more of a rotational or backup guy. Maybe they see him as a lot more, but just for where he was picked, that one was one that I kind of didn't get. I'll one up you a little bit. I loved them getting Kaiir Elam in the 1st round, and not just because he's a University of Florida guy. But I love the fact that they finally really went out and invested in a CB2.
Yeah.
That is what I love the most about it. Not only do I think that Kaiir Elam is a damn good football player, I think he can play that highest level of most aggressive cornerback coverage that you're looking for, that press man coverage ability. I think he could be a good off-zone coverage corner as well. And just the fact that he gets to be a CB2 next to Tre'Davious White when he's fully healthy, it tells you that you got those two guys. You got decent backups now at the cornerback position, and you got two of the best safeties in the game when they're playing back there. And so all of a sudden, this Buffalo Bills secondary is awesome. So I absolutely love
look at them playing the Jets and the Dolphins. I know people will laugh when that comes out of their mouth, but
it's gonna matter, man.
Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore. You're gonna need to be a little deep at corner, and the Bills, who are classic, always playing a little bit of chess while a lot of others are playing checkers. And of course, the Bills are seeing the Chiefs, Bengals in the playoffs and things like that. So yeah, I'm with you, Trev.
And then liked James Cook and Khalil Shakur. I think they're great players. I think Shakur gets to step in right where Cole Beasley, his spot is open now, and I think that he's going to be able to step in right away and play really well. I think he's got a natural feel for when he's got those two-way goes in the slot, uses space to his advantage. I think he can manipulate coverage and manipulate the guys that are covering him. He's very smart in his route running in that regard. I think that's going to be huge for the Bills. He's going to be a great player for him. And then James Cook, the soft hands, the great route running, the explosiveness that comes with him. For those reasons, echoing a lot of what you already said for those guys, it's a reason why I definitely like the Bills a lot. New England Patriots, it's time. It's time to get to it. Well, shoot, you didn't even.
I was going to say this. I feel like Teflon for this one because this was way better than the Vikings. And I know people are going to think I'm literally a lunatic, but I don't care.
I sometimes think you're literally a lunatic, but I love you. That's why you're my podcast partner. At 29 in the first round, we've got Cole Strange. And as Les Snead would say, Tennessee Chattanooga in the first round.
Jacked up.
He was jacked up about it. Second round, Jaquan Thornton, the wide receiver out of Baylor, the speedster. Third round, Marcus Jones, the cornerback out of Houston. Round 4, we got Jack Jones, the cornerback at Arizona State. We also had Pierre Strong, the halfback from South Dakota State, and Bailey Zappi, the quarterback from Western Kentucky. Nobody in the 5th round, but 6th round, we got Kevin Harris, the halfback from South Carolina. Sam Edwards, the edge rusher from Northwest Missouri State. Chasen Hines, the offensive guard from LSU. And then we got Andrew Stubert in the 7th round to round things out, the offensive tackle from Michigan. How'd we feel about it, Connor? You might be the highest in America on the Patriots draft, so let's hear it.
I did not like this draft. The value situation was actually pretty similar to the Vikings. The reason why they got a higher grade, or the lack of value, I should say, is because of the the trade situation with Minnesota that I did not like. So here's the deal, Trevor. They probably took a 3rd-round player in the 1st round in Cole Strange. They took a day 3 guy in Jaquan Thornton in the top 50. I really like Marcus Jones a lot.
Good
he's
player.
One of the
Good
best
football.
return men I've ever scouted, and I think he's going to be a good slot that could take away the football. The Jack Jones pick, I don't get at all in the top of the 4th round. I really like Pierre Strong for them. I was high on Pierre Strong. I had him as player 129. They took him 127. So that, to me, checked out for a team that wants to run the football a lot. I mean, when you look at Bailey Zappi, it's their kind of guy, right? Sam Howell is not the kind of fit they were looking for. Zappi is the kind of player that they want to function behind Mac Jones in that offense. Kevin Harris has some ability as a power back. I did think it was a little early to go running back again. One of my favorite pick, I guess, for them was actually Andrew Stuber. They got him 245 in the 7th round. I had him as a top 200 player. I really liked him. He's a big-bodied pass protector at tackle, at right tackle, that was really reliable on the right side of Michigan's offensive line. And they like these hulking right tackles. Them and the Ravens. New England really likes that kind of right tackle. They're not worried about you having the lightest feet, but they just want to make sure you're a big monster that it's hard for pass rushers to get around and keep the quarterback upright and move people a little bit in the run game. So while they really got no value on any picks besides Stuber and Strong, I kind of see them actually gathering pieces. I wish they were a little bit more aggressive. The Jaquan Thornton over that run of wide receivers is something that, for good or bad reasons, we're going to talk about for a long time. And I'm talking about Sky Moore, George Pickens, that kind of situation. I think, once again, there's just so many players that would have taken over Jack Jones in that spot. It was not a great draft. It wasn't a good draft. It wasn't a catastrophic draft. It's a classic Bill. I got a piece at center. You know what's going to make or break this draft, Trevor? If Jaquan Thornton is much better than they think he is compared to everyone else. And I don't know if I fully believe in that. So for me, it was a C+. It's not a dud. They're going to probably walk out of this draft and they got 2 or 3 players. It's just a matter of how good can they really be. And I kind of am a little lukewarm or down on the upside, and the value kind of hurt. But I know you have much stronger feelings on this draft than me, so please have the floor.
Yeah, you said that this draft wasn't a dud for you. Well, I gave it a D for dud.
Yeah, it's the lowest grade we've had on the show.
No question about it. I hated how this was prioritized. And again, you mentioned the fact that they've got some players who could be good for them. Marcus Jones, I liked. I think he could be a great slot defender in the NFL. Again, he's a guy who's got good ball skills. He's small. He is a small dude. Comes in a compact size, but I think he plays bigger than what his size is.
We say fun-sized on this show?
Sure. Yeah. No, we can do that.
We are very appropriate on the stock exchange.
Yeah, fun.
We're the sex addicts.
Fun stuff. Yeah, but that works for me. No, yeah. So he'll give you good special teams value as well. I think the Patriots definitely value that a good amount. Cole Strange is going to be good. Like, I think he's going to be a good football player.
He's going to be okay.
I think he'll be good.
I have some concerns about that face mask. Have you seen that face mask?
Yeah, isn't it like an old school one?
He looks like he's an extra in the movie The Blind Side.
Okay, now.
I mean, I'm serious.
Now I have to look at it.
Like he's one of the teammates.
Yeah.
Of Michael Orr.
You're right. This is the old school face mask.
Yes.
With the bar down the middle.
Yeah, why is he doing that? It's his 6th year in college. Didn't somebody by now be nice enough to tell you not to do that?
Dude, he's a throwback player.
Like
That's why Bill loves him.
Bro, he looks like a long snapper.
I'm up in the grade. I'm up in the grade to a D+.
All right.
I'm up in the grade.
Hold on. Can we backtrack here? You talked about Les Snead. What the hell was that laugh from Sean McVay? It looked like they brain chipped him. Did you see this? I clipped it out.
You clipped it. So
I was so excited for this. I'm going to use it 45 times in the next calendar year. It's like literally like they made a wax figure of Sean McVay and then put a robot brain in it, and they were like, "All right, laugh initiation, laugh button." And he kept going and going, and he's like looking around and laughing like a Westworld robot. Holy shoot, man. That was crazy.
There's a little bit of nightmare fuel for him there, but he was, I think he was trying to laugh to hide what he actually thought about Cole Strange going 29 overall.
Yeah. He's like, this could go viral. Don't do it.
I think Cole Strange is going to be a good football player, especially playing for the Patriots. I think he's going to develop well. He's going to play well. The thing is, you didn't have to pick him at 29. Nobody was doing that. The problem with this whole draft is the intel. The intel was shit. If you ask me, okay?
I was so happy you cursed before me on a pod for once.
It was bad. What are you doing picking Cole Strange at 29 for? What are you doing picking Jaquan Thornton 50 for? What are we doing?
Just making picks, baby.
Again, I go back to, I've said it a million times already, and people are probably sick of hearing me say it. I think the Patriots board was 18 players long. I think it was 18 players long. And they said to themselves, as everybody gets picked, we're going to cross them off the list, and then whoever is the highest, we're going to pick them there. Jaquan Thornton would have been available in like the 3rd or 4th round, man. You took him at 50. Cole Strange probably would have been available in the 3rd round for you to take. 3rd round. And you took him at 29. Why are you doing that? And even if it wasn't that bad, even if it was like, okay, some team might have taken him in like the late 2nd, trade down, Bill. Trade down.
Who's in the war room and goes, oh my God, we got sniped for Cole Strange?
Right. I think so many more war rooms are having the reaction that the Los Angeles Rams did.
Oh, yeah.
They watched this film thinking he was going to be available at 104. So maybe he might not have been available at 104. But if he would have been available at 74, trade down. Bill, come on, my guy.
Yeah, it felt like their phone lines
during
went
the
out.
Quarantine draft. Bring him back into the war room.
Yeah, bring back the dog.
Bring back the dog,
Bill.
Bring
back the dog.
So that was my thing. Like, I think that Marcus Jones can work out. I think Cole Strange can work out. I think Jaquan Thornton can have a role on this team. But I just felt like every player they drafted, outside of Marcus Jones, who I think was kind of close to value, they overdrafted almost all of these guys by a round.
That's being
Cole
nice.
Strange, Jaquan Thornton, Jack Jones for sure. I mean, taking 2 running backs when you already had Damian Harris and Ramondre Stevenson. Like, my guy.
Didn't it kind of feel like the Jaquan Thornton pick, they had like they printed out like the Cowboys did their big board, and somebody mixed up the pages where like page 4 was in the spot of page 2. So when John Mechie went, they're like, oh crap, that was the last wide receiver on page 1. They turned the page and it was like, oh, Jaquan Thornton's next. And it's like, what? No, this is page 4. Don't send in the pick. Don't send in the pick. And they did. So
somebody tried to clear up and enhance the Cowboys board. Did you see that?
I read the Athletic article on it. They did it.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So
Kayvon Thibodeau, number 1 player.
Kayvon at 1, Evan Neal at 2, Hutchinson 3,
Garrett Trevor Penning.
Garrett Wilson at 4.
Yeah, I mean, come on. They love CD. Garrett's not that different. It's very Cowboys.
I guess. You got Gardner at 5, Stingley at 6, Walker at 7, Kyle Hamilton 8, Icky at 9, Drake London at 10, Jordan Davis at 11, Charles Cross at 12, Lewis Cine at 13, Jameson Williams at 14.
They passed on Lewis Cine. So it goes to show you they thought he was an awesome player, and they do not care about safeties in the first round. I did the same thing. I was like, oh, crap, they love Lewis Cine. And then I went back to the draft, and I'm like, no, they didn't care.
Right. Okay.
I'll close the Patriots out on this because I think it's not being talked about enough, although I just said it again. Like, Jack Jones, for me, was a top 300 player, 293. They took him at 121. Like, you took 170 pounds.
You said top 300 like it was a compliment.
Exactly.
Like, listen, man. Look, technically, Aiden Hutchinson was also a top 300.
Yeah, exactly. Bro, they took a 170-pound corner.
Yeah, man.
At 121. It was a lot of weird. It was a very weird draft. Very weird.
Bill does his own thing, and
he does, and it's worked, but will it work without Tom Brady?
He's the greatest head coach of all time.
Yes, but will it work without Tom Brady?
Listen,
TBD.
Last words that are going to come out of my mouth is that Bill Belichick's the greatest head coach of all time.
TBD. To be determined. Tom Brady. Nothing. All right, Bill. Dolphins.
Tuberculosis.
Rest in peace, Arthur Morgan. All right, Dolphins. Not a lot of picks, right?
Not a lot of
picks, but they got Tyreek Hill, so the fans don't care probably that much. Interesting draft for me that they did not pick until 102. Not very common in this era to not be picking until the outside the top 100. Them and the Rams both did that in this draft. They did really well with their only day 2 pick and their top of day 3 pick. They got Channing Tindall, who I valued at 82. They got him at 102. And they got Eric Ezukama, who I valued at 101. They got him at 125, a jump ball receiver. He was like really the poor man's Drake London. Like if you loved that kind of player and you knew you weren't going to take one in the first 2 rounds, you'd move on to Eric Ezukama, who had awful quarterback play at Texas Tech. He went through a million different quarterbacks. He made a lot of plays on the ball. I was really, really impressed with his tape. Really, really liked it as the sirens go by in Hoboken. They never stop.
Beautiful Hoboken.
Yeah, we're just firing on all cylinders here. So, yeah, Dolphins, not a lot of picks, but I think Tindall. It's funny, I compared Tindall to Jerome Baker, who they have. So they like that kind of player, the defensive staff. Ezukama, I compared to Devontae Parker, who they traded. So it was kind of a funny. It was actually like a really funny draft for me with the Dolphins, but not a lot of picks. Didn't care about the 2 7th-rounders. Did not have them on my top 300. I gave it a B. So the Dolphins, they made the most of what they had, and I was actually pretty impressed. But I'll tell you, Trevor, not that they could have fixed it with those 2 picks, I am very, very concerned about this offensive line in front of Tua once again.
Yeah.
Even after adding Teron Armstead.
Right. And I kind of looked at it and I was like, damn, I want to give this a lower grade because they didn't really address the offensive line. But
how could they?
Right. I mean, like they signed
Teron
Armstead.
They signed. I mean, really, these are the teams that were thinking they were getting Cole Strange. I'm serious. They're like, hey, we kind of like this guy. We'll get him at 102. Psych. Night 1.
They signed Teron Armstead. They have Connor Williams now from Dallas. They got Michael Dieter. They have Robert Hunt. They've got Liam Eichenberg. And then they've got Austin Jackson as well. Who
not good.
Right. I mean, they have Solomon Kinley. Well, I'm going to give him a shout out. You're going to say not good again?
No, he's fine.
Okay, there we go. All right.
But he's not even projected to start.
Well, so I think they've got the thing with Miami is
McDaniel's a rocket scientist.
You certainly have to some degree do what the Philadelphia Eagles are doing, like with wide receiver, and just saying like, hey, we drafted guys, they were bad. We're drafting more guys, or we're getting more wide receivers in. But the Dolphins are kind of in this spot where they invested all this money in Teron Armstead. The guys they drafted kind of just have to pan out. Like these guys just have to develop. And if they're
Chris Greer's picks. You are right.
Certainly you got to hit the reset button for sure next year. But I can understand why they didn't necessarily go offensive line or force it at 103 with their first selection in the draft. Linebackers, really a big need for them as well. They needed to get some speed there. I like the fact that they got Channing Tindall, who brings them just that.
Yes.
I like Cameron Good as well. I think he's a high upside guy, 7th round pick, but I think
I got to really dive into him.
I think he's got good athleticism to him. You know, I think he's an outside linebacker type of guy, but you know, he'll be good in their multiple front defense. So I gave it a B plus, something like that.
Pretty good draft, all things considered.
Can't hate on it. You're right. I really can't hate on it that much.
No, all things considered, they were fine. Once again, they're just not really working with much draft capital because they made a huge trade for one of the best offensive players in the NFL. So. And they did, to be fair to them, they knew that, you know, when you have all that lack of capital, that you have to go pay Teron Armstead because you could not go into that offensive line without that kind of building block. So the Dolphins have had a nice offseason. It's the old classic, and I'm so sick of this because I hear it when I do all the Jets content, and I agree. It's like, oh, well, it all depends what Zach Wilson does. It all depends what Tua does. That's the league. It depends what the quarterbacks do, but at least give them a shot. And the Dolphins have absolutely... with McDaniel, who in my opinion is a top 4 offensive mind in the NFL, and we'll see, you know, if that defense can continue on without Flores, but a lot of his staff left over, we'll see what they could do. They're going to be a tough out, I'll say that.
All right, before we get out of here, got to remind the good people, 25% off any PFF subscription with the promo code NFLS You get the draft guide, you get the fantasy football tools, the fantasy football guide, the in-season betting tools as well, if you're very into that. And then, of course, all of the mock draft simulator and advanced scouting reports that we have once draft season rolls around again. So much great stuff, so much premium content over at PFF that you can get with a subscription. If you don't have one, 25% off using the promo code for this show, NFLSE. That's it for Connor and I this week. No bonus episodes. I know you guys are used to that. We had a bonus episode finishing the guest mock draft series, and then we had the bonus episodes after the draft, nights 1 and 2, of course. But no bonus episodes this week. Getting back to our regularly scheduled podcast. As we get into the summer, we're going to start getting creative with a lot of our topics, a lot of our mock draft Mondays. Sometimes it's going to be drafting serious topics. Sometimes it's a lot less serious, and we'll open things up to a lot more fun. Yeah. It's going to be some sort of mock draft Monday format coming up for you at the beginning of next week. This is the NFL Stock Exchange. We'll see you guys then.